How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Awesome. We're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
We're pumped for this day.
I can imagine, huh?
So how are things in Belgium?
Rainy at the moment. Very rainy. Yeah.
We have snow.
Yeah, cold and
Like
snow.
We had
crazy.
snow last week, and then an hour later it was all gone.
Yeah, that's usually our Christmas, I think. But now, for some reason, it's a winter wonderland out there.
Yeah, I went skiing on lunch today.
But you live in the north part of Sweden.
Nah, not the north part.
Well,
just 2 hours norther than you.
If it's
We're
north
still-
of Stockholm.
We are still in the south of Sweden, all of us.
Yeah,
That's
true. That's true.
Well,
That's a standing
I wish
joke
I
in
was there
Sweden.
to see it in person.
You're always welcome as soon as this crazy times come to an end.
Yeah, definitely.
So then we'll do this exact conference again, but in person?
Hey, why not?
And maybe up where Daniel lives, so we can go skiing.
Yeah,
That's
How
true.
about that?
Sign
sounds
me up.
good to me.
Nico, do you have something, a screen to share as well?
I guess so, yeah.
You guess it. We
thought
hope so.
I thought we could take these couple of minutes to get that ready as well.
Let's see, share screen.
I'm looking forward to this talk.
Mm-hmm.
The future of .NET desktop development.
There we go. We see you.
All right.
When is the session?
And
Well,
it
it's
should
starting
be
right
Yeah,
now.
it's starting right now. Look at that.
You can see the slides?
Yeah.
We can, and it's
All
live.
right. Okay, so we should start then, I guess.
Yeah, are you ready to kick it off?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Then take the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the .NET Frontend days so far. And I hope I will keep entertaining you for the next 30 minutes, I guess, which is not a lot of time with a lot of content to cover. So let's dive right in. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Nico. I live in Belgium, where I'm a consultant, .NET architect at a company called Inetum Real Dolmen. I've been an MVP in Windows development for almost 7 years now. Time really does fly. And we run a local user group here called Madden, Modern Applications Development Network. We focus on mainly mobile development, front-end development, all using the Microsoft stack. You can follow me on Twitter. If you have any questions after this, feel free to reach out. I will try to answer as soon as I can. Okay, let's dive right in. So this talk will be mostly about .NET 5, but before we get to 5, we need to make a slight detour through .NET Core 3. Because .NET Core 3 brought a very interesting thing back to the .NET folks, mainly support for desktop development. With .NET Core, Microsoft focused on a modern framework, a fast framework. And in version 1 and 2, it was all based around cloud, IoT, and web. And they left a lot of desktop developers in the cold during those times. So with .NET 3, they focused on desktop development again. So what that means is that as of .NET Core 3, WPF and Winforms have gone back into active development. They even open sourced it. These are the links to the 2 GitHub repositories. And I checked over lunch. The last commits on those repos were like about 20 hours ago or something. So they are really back in active development. The teams are actively working on those 2 frameworks. Issues are being tracked. Discussions are being done in the GitHub issues. So if you have any problems, if you have any remarks or things that you might find helpful to put in the framework, go to the issues on GitHub and just start a discussion, and then they'll answer for sure. So why should you even care about Winforms and WPF? Isn't that ancient tech? No one is using it anymore. If we mention modern applications, everyone starts thinking about cloud native applications, web applications, front-end, client-side front-end web, and stuff like that. Well, for starters, there are over 900 million devices running Windows 10, so that's a lot of potential customers for your desktop application. But there are still over 2.5 million developers that are building desktop applications in Visual Studio every month. Now, I've been doing application modernization for quite a while. There are still some things that web applications can't do or can't do as well as desktop applications can do them. So that's why it's still important. There are a lot of applications out there that have been growing in functionality for tens of years, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's just too expensive to rewrite them completely in a new tech stack. So maintaining them, keeping them modern is the only viable solution there. I've worked on projects before where we've done the calculations, and to rewrite them completely in a web stack would cost a couple of million euros. So that's not a viable solution for an application that's used in-house, enterprise application. So that's why application modernization on the desktop is as important as anywhere else. So back in November, .NET 5 was released. What did .NET 5 do? It brought everything together. So there's no longer .NET Core 2 or 3. There's no longer .NET Standards 2.0, 2.1, whatever. It's all .NET 5 now. And .NET 5 unifies the desktop, web, cloud, mobile, gaming, IoT, AI, you name it. You can do it on the Mac. You can do it on Linux with Visual Studio Code. You obviously have normal Visual Studio. There are even command line interface commands that you can use to build, run your application, and so on. So .NET 5 is everywhere now, throughout the entire spectrum of applications. The difference is the runtime that's being used under the hood. As developers, you don't see it, but if you build a .NET 5 application on Xamarin, for example, then it will use the Mono runtime. If you use it on desktop, it will use the core CLR. They are drop-in replacements. But we don't have to worry about that. The framework takes care of it for us. So what do we get? What does .NET 5 bring? This is not .NET 5 specific. This started with .NET Core 3. We have command line commands to create new WPF or WinForms applications. The .NET New templates include WPF, include WinForms. We can use XAML islands. XAML islands is a technology where we can take the modern controls that were introduced in the UWP framework. We can take those out and put them inside, for example, a WinForms application. And in the demo I will show you in a few minutes, I will do this using the WebView control. The WebView in WinForms is ancient. We can use XAML islands to drop in a brand new one. We get high DPI support for those fancy high DPI monitors out there. And we get Windows 10 API access. For example, we can use the Windows 10 APIs to hook into the Action Center to push native push notifications to Windows. We can make our applications self-contained, meaning that we no longer have to care which version of .NET is installed on our users' computers. Back in the day, when you shipped a .NET 4.6 application, you had to make sure that your user had .NET 4.6 installed. Now we can package the .NET framework with our application. One package, ship everything to the user, the user installs it, and he's done. You don't have to worry about that anymore. This also means that there is no longer the risk of multiple versions of .NET interfering with each other on the same machine, because it's contained. Even the version of .NET that you ship with your application lives in that sandbox. This also means that if you publish a self-contained application, that you are responsible of updating your app whenever there's a .NET Framework security update. If there are known vulnerabilities that are fixed or patched, then it's up to you to repackage your application with the updated .NET version and ship that out as an update to your customers. And then there's Windows UI 3. Windows UI 3 is a NuGet package that contains all the modern XAML elements, XAML controls. And it's one unified package that will work across UWP, WPF Winforms, and so on. This is all under the umbrella of bringing everything together. So this is in preview. Preview 3 is a couple of months old by now. It should launch somewhere this year, I believe. So that's an exciting thing to look forward to. So let's say you have an application, an old .NET WinForms application, and you want to consider updating. What do you do? First of all, it's a good idea to try to update to the latest version of the full .NET framework, being 4.8. 4.8 is the final release of classic .NET framework. And if you can update to that one without any problems, then from there to .NET 5 is a small step. But that should be your first one, going from whatever .NET version you're on to .NET 4.8. Now, if you have an application that's in pure maintenance mode, no new features are being added, you just do some maintenance on it, then in my opinion, you shouldn't worry about updating to .NET 5. Try to update to .NET 4.8 because that's long-term supported, and keep it on that. Because moving from 4.8 to 5 might bring some unexpected behavior. And if nothing else, it brings a lot of test work because you need to test your entire application end to end. With every edge case that you know of, with every glitch that you know of, every single button, link, whatever in your application needs to be tested again because behavior has changed between the two frameworks. So, and testing everything again costs time, and time is money. So if it's in pure maintenance mode, try to convince your customer or your boss or whoever needs to decide this to at least go to 4.8 for the support from Microsoft. And if it's in active development, if new features are being added, then it might be worthwhile to consider porting the entire application over to .NET 5. All right, let's check it out. Let's see. So I have an old application here. This is WinForms. It's on .NET Framework 4. So it's old. I believe it's about 10 years old or something. If I launch the application, I put it on the correct screen, then you get this. Now, what this application does, it takes an image and it pixelizes it. And the sole reason of existence of this application was that we got challenged to a sticky contest. So we had to use Post-its to create images. We got challenged by some colleagues. So we wrote an application that can convert images into Post-its. So that's what this does. And it was a nice sample application. And actually, before I continue with this, let me show you the .NET commands. I can create a new WinForms application using this. We'll call it WinForms demo. The .NET command goes out, pulls in the templates. I can see into it. Let's have it built and run. here it is. So this is my brand new .NET 5 application, no Visual Studio involved, just all command line. Okay, so back to Pixelator. Let's see. One of the things I mentioned during the slides was this. So this is a WinForm showing only a web view. That's all it does. It has a web view on there and it opens HTML5 test. Now what this does, it rates your browser on HTML5 compatibility and it gives you some points. Now the points don't really matter. What's interesting is this one. It says I'm using IE 11, which is the browser that's the classic WebView control is based on. It also says I'm running Windows 8, which is not sure, not true. This should be Windows 10. So this is an old control. It's not as compatible anymore. Certain websites won't look as good. So let's try to fix this. And one way to do this is by using the XAML islands. Now, setting up XAML islands and embedding an existing control, it's kind of involved. It takes some time. So luckily, certain controls do have their own package. So if I manage the NuGet packages here, and I search for the WebView 2, there's this. This control is the Chromium-based Edge browser in control. Okay, so that's installed. Let's open the WebView. So this is the form, and I will delete the WebView, go to the toolbox. Build it first. Yes, I know it doesn't exist. Succeeded. Where is my WebView? It is installed. It should show up here. Interesting. Okay, let me try restarting Visual Studio real quick. There we go. While that is restarting, let's take some time. Let me show you a new WPF. So this is exactly the same thing as with WinForms, but I needed something to keep you busy while we wait for Visual Studio to reload. So as you can see, we have a brand new WPF application here. Actually, let's take a look at the CS brush. It says .NET 5-Windows. So what this means is that .NET 5 is platform agnostic, meaning it runs on Linux, Mac, Windows, wherever. But to be able to use WPF or WinForms on within .NET 5, they needed to hook into DirectX, for example, which is not available on Linux or Mac. So they had to find a way around this, and they did that by introducing feature packs. So the desktop pack is one of those, and that one's included through this. This means that the .NET 5 based WPF or WinForms application does not run on Linux or Mac because they don't have access to those operating system hooks. It doesn't exist there. So this is .NET 5, which is by nature cross-platform, but this is not because it's using the Windows targeting or feature pack. Okay, so this has reloaded. It's still not there. That's interesting. It is installed. Okay, anyway, moving on. It should be there. I should be able to just drag and drop it onto the designer. It actually worked about an hour ago or something. But okay, moving on. If you want to actually upgrade your application from .NET 4, which this is based on, to .NET 4.8, you can do so by going to Properties and setting your target framework. Actually, that might be the reason that the NuGet package didn't show up in the toolbox. Okay. So, where is okay? So we've upgraded to 4.8. It's still built. Okay.
Nico, could
yes.
you enlarge the fonts a little bit when you're in the editor?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Awesome.
Fonts. Like this?
That's much better. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so next is getting rid of packages config. Packages config is where NuGet packages used to live, but we've moved on from that. So Visual Studio has this migration built in as well. You can just right-click References and migrate to package reference. This will give you a list of all the NuGet packages that you have installed, and it will try to migrate them away from packages config to package reference. And then you get this nice report saying that no issues are found. This package was migrated. So the packages config is actually gone. And if we go here and we check the project file, then it has a package reference right here. See if this still compiles. That works. Let's see if we found our... Yeah, there it is. Here's our control. I think I actually screwed up the order of the demo. I should have migrated first to 4.8 and then include the NuGet package. So that's why it didn't show up. But it's here now. So I can just drop it on here. So back with .NET Core 3, when the new WinForms designer was just announced, it was not stable at all. It had a lot of issues. It used to crash even on this page. But that's all fixed now. Now it works pretty well. Okay, let's replace this with WebView 21, which is actually WebView 2.1. Now, why WebView 2? Because the WebView 1, or just WebView, was the classic Edge browser. Control the classic Edge browser. But that's deprecated now, so this one is the Chromium-based. If I open the same page now, it gives me a much higher score, and it says I'm using Edge 89 on Windows 10. And Edge 89 is the latest version at the moment. So, cool, that works. Let's jump back to the slides for a moment. So where are we at now? .NET 5 is released. Has been released in November of 2020. .NET 6 is coming. And from that moment on, we will get yearly releases. So I haven't shown you this, but the XAML designer also works just as expected. And the WinForms designer now does work as well. Also for the Rider users out there, they also have a working WinForms designer. There are some components that are removed. A few of the older WinForms components that were already obsolete or deprecated in the .NET 4 framework have been completely removed or not ported at all in .NET 5. And there's an entire list somewhere on the Microsoft Docs website. And this is a snippet of that. So they have a list of controls that are removed and what the recommended replacement is. So be sure to check that out if you are trying to port an older application. So this is the timeline, and we are now somewhere between November 2020, .NET 5, and November 2021, .NET 6. And the versioning is like this. So every odd version number is a new release, but it's not long-term supported. It's supported for 1 year. Every even numbered release is long-term supported. I believe it's 3 years. So then they will keep this. They will keep this going, and it's important to remember this, to know this. Now, let's say you want to migrate to .NET 5. First thing you need to do is run your portability analyzer. And this will show you which APIs you are using in your application that are compatible or not compatible with. And the portability analyzer doesn't do .NET 5 for now, so it gives you compatibility with .NET Core 3, which can be a fair starting point. So you need to analyze your portability. You need to migrate to the package reference, which we've done. Upgrade to the latest .NET framework 4.8. We've done that. And now we can start migrating the application to .NET 5. Now the application, the pixelator, has a class library as well, which is also .NET 4. So we need to migrate those two. Once you're done migrating, you need to run your application. And like I've mentioned, you need to test it end to end. Every single thing, every flow through your application, every single line of code needs to be hit just to make sure that everything works. There is a tool that converts your applications automatically. It's try convert. It's on GitHub. It is from Microsoft, but it's delivered as is. It's unsupported completely, and they are working on it, but it's use at your own risk, basically. Okay, let's continue porting our application. So it's about time to go to .NET 5. First of all, we need to run our project portability analyzer. This should go fairly quickly. There we go. You get a nice Excel report. It says that my application is 100% compatible with .NET Core and platform extensions, so the Windows Feature Pack. Version 3.1, and .NET Standard is only 51% compatible. And that's easily explained because the ones that are not supported are all in the Windows.Forms namespace, which is available in .NET Core 3 and .NET 5, but not in .NET Standard. So that's why you only get the 50% compatibility, which is okay because we're not migrating to .NET Standard, we're migrating to .NET Core. So to migrate the application, I'm just going to jump to the projects that we've created using the CLI. I'm going to copy the project file. I'm going to paste the project file right here. Rename current one. Rename the new one. Reload in Visual Studio. Of course, since we're on package reference, my NuGet package for the WebView 2 will be gone. So I'll just add that one again. There we go. And then I need to add a reference to my client library. Or not. Okay, that's okay because I'm not actually using any code from there. So still compiles, that's good. Long-lived demos. Okay, I'm currently running on .NET 5, and usually when the demo behaves, I get an error saying that there are duplicate assembly attributes. And what this means is that in the assembly info, there are assembly versions, assembly file versions, but this is not used anymore in .NET 5 because it's in the properties, in the package properties. So this is a duplicate now. So you can just throw away the assembly info, and that should get rid of the build error. Okay, now it's saying that. If you can quickly comment this out. Try one more time because we're already running out of time. No. Okay, so this should have just worked. One thing here that does not work anymore after porting to .NET 5 is, I was there. There is an option in the menu of the application that launches a browser using project start, process start, this one. This does not work anymore. And this is one of the reasons that you need to test everything thoroughly, because now it's changed to this. So if you replace this line with these two, then it works again. And that's one of the small changes that you need to keep in mind. And this is why it's important to even test the smallest possible use case in your application. Okay, let's very quickly jump back into the slides. So when to migrate, and I've mentioned this at the beginning of the talk, if your application is in active development, migrate to .NET 5. If it's in maintenance mode or it's finished, try to at least upgrade to 4.8. Things went wrong here during the demo, but it does work, and with .NET 5, it's pretty stable. So yeah, I don't know what went wrong there. Some key takeaways from this. Desktop development is here, and it's still here. It's still important. It's still modern. So .NET 5 is the way forward. If you're doing new WinForms, new WPF applications, make sure you do them in .NET 5. And I forgot to update this slide, apparently. We didn't have time to do the MSIX, but MSIX is one way to install your desktop applications so that they're completely containerized. They clean up nicely if you uninstall them, so you get no more machine rots. It's definitely something worth investigating. There's a lot of very good documentation on it. And then there's some resources. So there's the blogs from Microsoft. There's really good documentation on .NET 5, on .NET Core 3. Everything that you can, all the documentation on .NET Core 3, all the blogs that you can find are mostly still relevant in .NET 5. There's a lot of content out there. So yeah, just dive in, see if you can port your applications over. And with that, I'm just 3 minutes over my time. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Nico.
No
Thank you very
problem.
much.
I know what went wrong. We are
do?
live. Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
are live. So someone has to take this role. So on behalf of all of the other speakers, thank you for taking that role today.
And you
No
can't really
problem.
say, hey, it worked on my machine. No, wait.
That's how Docker actually got invented. It works on my machine, so let's ship my machine.
So we do have a couple of questions, or this one is a little bit of more of a comment. I want to switch home office with Nico. Do you have an arcade back there? What game is it?
It's actually a RetroPie. I built it myself. It has about
Nice.
3,000 games on it.
Just a few.
I want one.
Of course you do.
I can send you the building plans. So I actually had more fun building it than I did playing the games on it.
Isn't that always the case?
Also, the bottom half is a fridge.
Ooh,
Smart.
nice.
I want the guitars.
I want to be able to play guitars.
Me
Yeah,
too.
On next year's live stream, Jimmy will
Oh,
do the guitar in the intro.
you're promising a lot here.
Challenge accepted.
Oh, I see.
So what do you think of the new project in .NET 5, WinForms versus WPF?
I'm assuming you mean should I choose? Will I choose WinForms or WPF for a new application? I would probably go WPF because that's XAML and I love XAML. But it kind of depends on what your development team already knows, the technical luggage that they carry around. If they are very experienced WinForms developers, then there's nothing wrong with starting a new WinForms project.
What is the status of UWP and .NET 5?
I guess you should ask Microsoft that. I have no idea. I know that they're going to consolidate everything, but that won't happen in .NET 5. That would most likely happen in .NET 6 or 7, maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh, this is a long one. So Doug has a large .NET 4.7.2 desktop application with 930 WinForms. Whew, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
What would you recommend? Should they replace the UI with new open source WinForms or just redevelop everything with Blazor?
I guess it depends on the budget that they have, or whatever they want to do with the application. If it runs fine on WinForms and you're happy with the performance that you're getting out of it, I don't see why you would need to redevelop it as a Blazor app. If you're happy with it as a WinForms application and it's still in active development, then I would recommend just keeping it and migrating to .NET 5.
Let's see here. What we got? Oh, we got a comment. UWP is coming in .NET 6, just as you said.
Yeah, okay. It's the WinUI library.
We are all developers here. We do understand the situation. Well,
Yeah.
we do. Well, and this is kind of the fun part with having it live as well.
Yeah.
Things break, and I mean, you did solve most of the problems, and that is part of the education as well.
But that's the thing. I always do my demos like when we're at an actual conference, like an in-person conference. I usually do my demos in the morning before breakfast. Everything works. So I did it like an hour and a half before it was my turn, and everything worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So
You never know what causes this, do you?
I've said
Yeah.
this to my colleagues today as well. IT is not an exact science.
So are there any shims available to add references to external DLLs from external partners that are not .NET 5?
I guess it depends what you want to achieve, because if the demo should work, if the demo had worked, then you would see that the logging library I had would have remained on .NET 4, and I could just reference it and call its methods from .NET 5. So you can reference older libraries, and that still works mostly. I don't know if you're doing pinvoke stuff and calling native DLLs, what that would do. I haven't tried it. It's an interesting question.
So in most cases, it would work. That's good. SAML for the win. I agree.
Yes. If they only found a way to put XAML in Blazor, that would really make sense.
I know, right?
I don't know if I could have taken that, because every time Jimmy does something in Blazor, he's like, oh, wow, this is so easy. Wow, I love this. And adding SAML on top of that? Yeah, he wouldn't shut up about it.
So what about cross-platform WPF applications? Do you have any updates for that?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Never?
I'm pretty not with WPF in its current state, I believe, because it's tied too hard into DirectX. So if they made a cross-platform version of DirectX, who knows? But in its current state, it's, in my opinion, not possible. I guess frameworks like Xamarin can cover a great deal of that field.
Yeah, we both have a session about that, and we also have a session later about Uno, if you want the Windows flavor of SAML.
That Uno is UWP flavor based, I believe.
Yes. The best one.
I agree.
So if you were going to start a new desktop application today, what technology would you use?
I would. I guess it would depend on the application, because I love doing UWP stuff, but it's also very limited in how far you can take it. If it's an enterprise level application, then I would definitely go WPF. If it's tablet based, or I'm doing it for fun, I would probably go UWP.
So there are some talk about Avalonia. I don't even know what that is. What is Avalonia?
Avalonia is I believe it's a Uno competitor.
Oh.
We need to check that out.
So I thought that WPF was going to replace WinForms. And here we are, many years later, and we're still talking about WinForms. What happened?
Instead of giving us one option, they gave us choice. Which is always a good thing.
Well, choice is always good.
Yeah. I mean, people have spent years and decades of honing their WinForms skills. It would have been a shame to throw it all away.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's time to go to our next speaker.
Yeah. Thank you again so much.